Today we're going to be doing this dragon tattoo here to show you how you could use our clear temporary tattoo paper for a trial run if you're thinking about getting a permanent tattoo. So I'm Spencer, I'm your host for today, and let's get into it. So as far as what we need to do is first we want to pull up a design within the software. So we're capturing the software here. And the design I chose today is this dragon. I've worked with it in the past. I think it's a really cool design. And I'm gonna be doing a trial run as though I'm getting a tattoo right here. Because even though you can't see it, I've actually got some tattoos up here, and I prefer black and white. So I'm gonna use just a pure black dragon tattoo. So in the software, I've got the design pulled up. And the big important things if you're gonna be doing a print and cut is first to make sure that you have all of your sort of page setup settings correct. So we've got our machine here and the fact that we're working with a ES mat. And then over here, we want to make sure that registration marks are on. You can use the default settings for registration marks. And then with the design itself, when I'm doing a print and cut, I usually want an offset just to make sure I don't cut into the design because it's going to cut right on the edges. So to do an offset, you'd click on the design itself, and then right up here is an offset option. So if I click this here, it's going to be able to do an offset. Now we've already made an offset, so we'll be good to go here. Let me actually just Control Z so we don't have two offsets. But you want to do that just to make sure that when you cut the file, it doesn't cut into the ink or anything like that. Especially if you're doing stickers, you can cut them a little bit wider. With this one, I want it pretty close to the design because it's going to leave this kind of clear residue anywhere else that's cut out. So I want it as close to the design as possible. And also, if you're interested in doing this exact same tattoo, you can find this design by searching up the design ID 37825. Got it just right here. Once again, it's a very cool dragon tattoo. So I'll get ready to send it, and let's make sure we've got the machine turned on. I'm going to power on my ES mat that's hooked up, and then I'm going to go ahead and flatten this guy down just here at the top. And I like to rub out any sort of air bubbles, pockets that might be there, but after I do this just a couple times, it should be good. The only shaking is the actual kind of tray itself, but the ES mat is good on there. And then now that we've got that, let's load our material. So I've already got this one printed out, ready to go. But before I load it on and cut it, the next step when you're working with tattoo paper is you want to be able to put this clear, I don't necessarily know what to call it, the clear paper over the project that you're working with. So to do this, the only tool you need is some sort of scraper tool. We've got our own little Silhouette ones I like. But I've seen people use credit cards, all sorts of different stuff. I used to use little key cards that you use to get into a lot of corporate buildings. That works pretty well. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to peel off this little top part, this little sticky section. And then I'm going to lay it down, and since I'm not working with the full page, I'm okay if it doesn't cover the bottom part, but I'm going to kind of lay it down up here, get it smooth. And you want to try your best to do this without getting air pockets in here. It's kind of similar to when you're working with vinyl. Even if you do get air pockets, that's what the scraper tool is for. So as I've kind of peeled this away and it starts to lay down, I'm just kind of casually making sure to get out any air bubbles. The other day I was doing different tattoos and I got a lot of air bubbles in there, and it's okay if you do, you can usually fix it. See, like here at the bottom, because I'm going a little bit speedy, it kind of peeled up. You can lift this up. I found with the tattoo paper, you don't want to have to do this too much because it can kind of cause some issues with that adhesive. But I'm going to do it here at the bottom since I don't have a design down here. I'm not too worried about that. And I'm just going to scrape around the edges here. Once again, just trying to make sure that there's no big air pockets on the design itself. And then past that, I don't actually care too much about the edges because I'm not really doing anything here. So go over here, it doesn't matter if it gets wrinkly. But the design itself, we want it to be kind of as smooth as possible. Now that I've got that, I'll kind of show you a little bit closer. So if you see here what I was talking about, there's no air bubbles on the design itself that I'm working with, and then I very just quickly did the rest here, and it's okay that there's these little wrinkles because I'm not working with that space. If I was, you'd be a lot more careful when applying the full sheet But now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and load it on here. So I just like to get towards the top corner. And since it has registration marks, the machine is first going to read where the registration marks are so it knows exactly where to cut with your printed design. Because when you're usually cutting right out of the software, it's going to cut right with the cut lines. But in this case where we've got the printed material already there, we want to make sure that it locates exactly where to cut before actually cutting. So just make sure that it's, yep, nice and stable. All right, so now it finished cutting here, so let's go ahead and unload it. I'm going to turn off my ES mat, and I'm going to lift up the corner so that I can get the material here. And if this cut correctly, we should be able to kind of pop this guy out. Might need to do a second pass, but we'll see. Oh, there we go. Got that tattoo design. Now we're going to go ahead and apply it. So what we want to do here is we want to peel up the plastic, that top layer, if I can get my fingernail under it. If you have like a hook tool, you could use that here as well. I've got this little corner. I'm going to try and delicately do it so that I can hopefully take the whole thing off in one piece. If not, then it's okay. You just peel up another corner. And then after we've got that, we apply it to the skin with a wet paper towel, cloth, whatever you've got. You can see here I missed a little spot right here. You want to get all the plastic off or else it won't transfer over to the skin. So now that we've got it all cut out here, I'm going to apply it on my arm, probably just right above my watch. So I lay it down where it's going to be first. And then the trick here is that we want to get it really wet. And that's how it's going to transfer that ink over to your skin. So I usually like to lay down some wet paper towels on my arm here. We've also got some spray as an example of something you could use. I usually just use paper towels, but you can just kind of spray it on. Trick with these is you want to get it really wet. And usually you want it about 30 seconds to 45 seconds, I feel like. But we're just going to get it really damp here and then show you. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the paper towel. Just kind of give it a little peel check here. Looks like it's coming off okay. If it was having any issues, you could lay it back down and reapply the water. There we go. All done. So you can use that as kind of a test if you're thinking about getting a tattoo. You can apply this first and you can kind of feel what it's like having that tattoo for a few days before you actually make that permanent decision. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in and keep an eye out for all our other fun videos. Thanks.